The Deep Space Monitoring Station Vigilance detected the anomaly at 0347 hours, Galactic Standard Time. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb studied the readings with growing unease, his weathered face illuminated by the amber glow of tactical displays. The signal originated from Sector 7 Alpha, a supposedly dead region of space that had been quarantined by the Galactic Council for over 2 centuries. "Sir, the energy signature is unlike anything in our databases," reported Ensign Lisa Park, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. "It's not matching any known technology, not even the ancient Curator archives." Webb leaned forward, his military instincts sharpening. The Curators had been humanity's most enigmatic discovery, an extinct civilization whose technological remnants had catapulted human development forward by millennia. Their artifacts were scattered across the galaxy, carefully catalogued and studied by human archaeological teams. But this signal was different. It pulsed with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. "Analysis suggests the anomaly is artificial in nature," Park continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The mathematical precision of the pulses indicates intelligence, sir. Active intelligence." The implications sent a chill through the bridge crew. If the Curators weren't extinct, if they had merely been dormant, then humanity's entire understanding of galactic history would need revision. More concerning was the location. Sector 7 Alpha had been designated off-limits after several exploration vessels had vanished without trace, their final transmissions speaking of impossible geometries and spaces that defied physics. Captain Elena Rodriguez materialized on the bridge, her rapid footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. "Report, Commander. Unknown energy signature from the quarantine zone, Captain. Possible Curator origin, but the technology appears evolved." Rodriguez studied the data streams, her expression grave. As one of humanity's foremost xenoarchaeologists before joining the military, she understood the significance better than most. "The Council needs to know immediately, but first, we investigate. Ma'am, respectfully, that sector is classified as a no-fly zone for good reason. Which is exactly why we need to know what's happening there." Rodriguez's voice carried the authority of someone who had faced the unknown before. "If the Curators are active again, humanity needs to be prepared. We've built our entire interstellar civilization on their abandoned technology. If they return, to reclaim it." She didn't need to finish the thought. Every human in the galaxy depended on Curator technology for faster-than-light travel, planetary terraforming, and defensive systems. Without it, humanity would be trapped in their home system, vulnerable to the countless hostile species that viewed them as upstart newcomers. "Plot a course for Sector 7 Alpha," Rodriguez ordered. "Maximum stealth protocols. We go in dark and quiet." As the Vigilance altered course toward the Forbidden Sector, Webb couldn't shake the feeling that they were sailing toward humanity's greatest discovery, or its doom. The Curators had vanished for reasons unknown, leaving behind only their incredible technology and cryptic warnings carved into monument walls across a dozen worlds. Those warnings spoke of something they called the Harvest, a cyclical event that occurred every few million years. The signal pulsed again, stronger now, and Webb realized with growing dread that humanity might be about to learn what had frightened the galaxy's most advanced civilization into hiding. The journey to Sector 7 Alpha took 18 hours at maximum warp, each passing moment filled with increasingly strange sensor readings. Chief Science Officer Dr. James Howell worked frantically to decode the patterns emerging from their destination, his usually calm demeanor cracking under the pressure of unprecedented data. "Captain, the signal is definitely artificial, but it's not broadcasting randomly," Howell reported, his voice tight with concentration. "It's responding to our approach. The frequency modulations began changing approximately 6 hours ago, precisely when we entered the outer sensor range of the anomalies. Location." Rodriguez felt ice form in her stomach. "It knows we're coming." "That's not the strangest part." Howell turned his screen toward her, displaying a complex waveform analysis. "The mathematical progression in the signal matches several theoretical models we've been working on for advanced Curator technology. It's as if something is trying to communicate using our own research as a translation matrix." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. If an unknown intelligence was accessing human research databases, It suggested capabilities far beyond anything they had encountered. The curator artifacts humanity had studied were advanced, but they were essentially archaeological remains. Dormant technology left behind by a vanished civilization. This was something entirely different. "Sir, we're approaching the quarantine boundary," reported Navigator Tom Chen from his position. "All automated systems are advising immediate course correction." "Override the warnings," Rodriguez commanded. "Continue approach at 1/4 impulse." As they crossed into forbidden space, the ship's sensors began registering impossible readings. Space itself seemed twisted here, with gravitational anomalies that shouldn't exist, and electromagnetic fields that formed impossible geometric patterns. Several junior officers reported headaches and disorientation, symptoms that Dr. Howell immediately recognized from historical accounts of curator site investigations. "The environment is affecting human neural patterns," he warned. "We should consider—" His words were cut off as the view screen suddenly activated, displaying an image that made everyone on the bridge step backward involuntarily. A massive structure hung in space before them, its design utterly alien, yet somehow familiar. It resembled a flowering crystal the size of a small moon, its faceted surfaces pulsing with the same rhythm as the signal they had detected. "My God," whispered Ensign Park. "It's beautiful." But Rodriguez saw something else in the structure's design, a deliberate mathematical precision that spoke of intelligence beyond human comprehension. The crystalline formation wasn't random. It was a construction, possibly a vessel or station of unimaginable sophistication. "Captain, I'm reading massive power signatures from the structure," Chief Engineer Ryan Mills reported from his station. "The energy output is off the charts, enough to power our entire fleet for centuries. And it's scanning us," added Webb, grimly. "Multiple sensor sweeps, types unknown. Whatever's inside that thing is taking a very close look at our ship." Rodriguez made a decision that would define humanity's next chapter in galactic history. Open communications on all frequencies. If something wants to talk to us, let's talk. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Sound, light, and sensation flooded the bridge as an intelligence vast and ancient touched their minds directly. Images flashed through their consciousness, star systems being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling like waves on a cosmic shore, and through it all, the patient watching of beings who had transcended physical existence eons ago. When the contact ended, Rodriguez found herself on her knees, tears streaming down her face from the sheer magnitude of what she had experienced. Around her, her crew was similarly affected, each processing the revelation in their own way. "The curators," she whispered. "They never left. They've been waiting." Captain Rodriguez struggled to her feet, her mind reeling from the contact. The bridge crew slowly recovered from the overwhelming psychic experience, each face bearing the expression of someone who had glimpsed infinity and found themselves wanting. "Status report," she managed, her voice hoarse. Dr. Howell checked his instruments with shaking hands. "All systems nominal, Captain. Whatever that was, it didn't harm our equipment. If anything, our computers are running more efficiently than before." The view screen still displayed the massive crystalline structure, but now they could see movement within its translucent depths, flowing patterns of light that suggested vast intelligence at work. As they watched, smaller crystal formations detached from the main structure and began approaching their ship. "They're coming this way," Webb reported, his tactical training warring with the profound sense of peace that lingered from the contact. "Multiple contacts, but no weapon signatures. They appear to be greeting us." Rodriguez found herself understanding concepts that hadn't existed in her mind moments before. The contact had left behind fragments of knowledge, like dreams half remembered upon waking. "They're not the curators we thought we knew," she said slowly. "They're something far older. The artifacts we've been studying, those were left by their physical forms before they transcended." "Transcended to what?" asked Park, her voice filled with wonder and fear. "Pure thought. Pure consciousness." Rodriguez closed her eyes, trying to access the implanted knowledge. "They call themselves the Watchers now. They've been observing the galaxy for millions of years, waiting for species to reach a certain level of development. The lead crystal formation docked with their ship with impossible gentleness, causing no vibration or impact despite its massive size. Sensors indicated that it was somehow interfacing directly with their hull, creating a connection that bypassed all known principles of material science. "Captain, I'm reading a stable environment inside the attached structure," Mills reported. "Breathable atmosphere, standard gravity. They're inviting us aboard." Rodriguez knew she should contact Starfleet Command, should follow first contact, protocols established decades ago. But the knowledge gifted to her during the psychic contact made it clear that this moment existed outside normal procedures. Humanity was being evaluated, and their response would determine their species' future. "Dr. Howell, Commander Webb, you're with me," she decided. "The rest of you maintain station and be ready for anything." The airlock opened onto a corridor that defied description. The walls seemed to be made of crystallized starlight, displaying scenes from across the galaxy. Planets being born, civilizations taking their first steps into space, the slow dance of cosmic evolution. As they walked deeper into the structure, they realized they were moving through a living museum of galactic history. At the corridor's end, they found themselves in a vast chamber where three beings of pure energy waited. Their forms shifted constantly between patterns of light and shadow, but their intelligence was unmistakable. When they spoke, it wasn't through sound, but through direct thought transmission. "You are the humans," the beings communicated. "The young species that learned to use the gifts we left behind." "You're testing us," Rodriguez realized. "You've been testing every species that reaches this level of development." "The galaxy is vast, but it is not infinite," came the reply. "Resources are limited. Space is finite. Periodically we must curate which civilizations continue forward and which have served their purpose." Webb stepped forward, his military bearing intact despite the overwhelming situation. "The harvest. That's what your monuments warned about." "Indeed, every few million years we evaluate the species that have emerged. Some show promise and are allowed to continue. Others—" The thought that followed was filled with images of dead worlds and silent star systems. Dr. Howell found his voice. "What makes a species worthy of continuation?" The answer came with a flood of images. Acts of sacrifice, cooperation across species. Lines. The choice to explore and create rather than destroy and consume. "We watch for wisdom, for the ability to grow beyond the primitive drives that birth intelligence. Most species fail this test." "And humanity?" Rodriguez asked, though she feared the answer. "That remains to be determined. You have shown both promise and concern. Your rapid expansion, your adaptation of our technology, your conflicts with other species. All these factors are being weighed." The chamber filled with holographic displays showing human colonies, space battles, diplomatic negotiations, and acts of both cruelty and compassion. Humanity's entire interstellar history was laid bare before beings who had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations. "Why reveal yourselves to us now?" Rodriguez asked. "Because the next harvest approaches, and you have reached the threshold where a decision must be made. Consider this: an interview." The revelation hit the human delegation like a physical blow. Rodriguez felt her knees weaken as the implications became clear. Humanity wasn't just being observed. They were on trial for their very existence. "How long do we have?" she asked, her captain's training helping her focus on actionable intelligence. "In your measurements, approximately 1 of your years," the Watchers replied. "The harvest cycle has already begun. Across the galaxy, other species are being evaluated simultaneously." Dr. Howell stepped forward, his scientific mind grappling with the cosmic scale of what they were hearing. "How many species typically survive this evaluation?" The response came with devastating clarity. In the previous harvest, 3,700,000 intelligent species were considered. 47 were permitted to continue. Webb's face went pale. "Less than 1 in 70,000. What are the criteria? What do we need to do?" The chamber around them shifted, walls displaying scenes from across human space. Some showed humanity at its best: rescue operations in disaster zones, diplomatic breakthroughs with hostile alien species, scientific discoveries shared freely across cultures. Others revealed humanity's darker nature: wars over resources, exploitation of less advanced species, environmental destruction. "The test is not singular, but multifaceted," the Watchers explained. "We evaluate expansion patterns, resource utilization, treatment of other intelligences, technological responsibility, and potential for long-term stability. Where do we currently stand? Rodriguez asked, dreading the answer. Your species shows unusual promise in several areas. Your rapid technological adaptation, your diverse problem-solving approaches, your capacity for both individual initiative and collective action. These are rare traits. However, you also demonstrate concerning aggressive tendencies and resource exploitation patterns. The displays shifted to show human conflicts with the insectoid Keth Empire and the Aquatic Reef Confederacy. Both had been resolved through military action rather than diplomacy, though in humanity's defense, both species had initiated hostilities. Most species that reach your level of development do so through conquest or rigid hierarchical control, the Watchers continued. You have achieved it through what you call controlled chaos. Multiple competing factions that nonetheless cooperate when facing external threats. This is unusual. Is that good or bad? Webb asked bluntly. It is interesting. Most successful species show predictable development patterns. You do not. This makes you either exceptionally promising or exceptionally dangerous. Dr. Howell studied the ongoing displays of human activity. What would tip the balance in our favor? Demonstrate wisdom. Show that your species can transcend its base impulses when faced with ultimate consequences. Prove that humanity's expansion into the galaxy will be beneficial rather than destructive. And if we fail? Rodriguez asked. The chamber filled with images of dead worlds, planets scoured of life, star systems silent and empty, the remnants of civilizations that had been found wanting. Then you join the archives as a cautionary tale for future species. The weight of responsibility settled on Rodriguez's shoulders like a physical force. The fate of every human being, the billions living on Earth, the millions in the colonies, the thousands exploring the outer rim, rested on decisions that would be made in the coming year. We need to inform our government, our people, she said. That is your choice. But know that how you handle this information will itself be part of your evaluation. Panic and chaos will count against you. Unity and wisdom will count in your favor. Webb was already thinking tactically. Are other species aware they're being tested? Some are. Most are not. The revelation itself is part of the test. How does a species react when faced with existential judgment? What about the artifacts we've been studying? The technology we've built our civilization on? Dr. Howell asked. Those were left as tools and tests. Species that use them for exploration and creation show promise. Those that use them primarily for conquest and destruction do not. Your utilization has been mixed. The interview continued for hours, with the Watchers explaining the scope and scale of the evaluation. Humanity would be judged not just on its actions during the testing period, but on its entire history since achieving interstellar capability. Every decision, every policy, every act of cooperation or aggression would be weighed in the balance. As they prepared to return to their ship, Rodriguez asked one final question. Is there any advice you can give us? Any guidance? Be what you claim to be. Humanity prides itself on adaptability, compassion, and ingenuity. If these traits are genuine rather than mere pretense, demonstrate them. The universe has room for builders, not just takers. The journey back to vigilance felt like walking through a dream. Each step carried the weight of species-level responsibility, and Rodriguez found herself analyzing every breath, every heartbeat, wondering if this was how extinction began, with the knowledge that it was coming. Once aboard their ship, the three officers stood in the conference room, staring at each other across a table that suddenly seemed to represent the gulf between their old reality and their new one. The familiar hum of the ship's systems felt different now, each sound a reminder of the curator technology that humanity had built their civilization upon. We have to tell them, Dr. Howell said finally, breaking the silence. Starfleet Command, the Colonial Council, Earth Government, they all need to know. Webb shook his head grimly. Do they? Think about what happens when this gets out. Panic in the colonies, market crashes, possible wars as species try to eliminate competition before the harvest. The Watchers said our reaction to this knowledge is part of the test, Rodriguez reminded them. If we try to hide it and they find out, That could be the end of us right there. She activated the ship's secure communication system, knowing that this transmission would change everything. Within hours, the highest levels of human government would be grappling with a crisis that made every previous challenge seem trivial. Priority Alpha transmission to Starfleet Command, Colonial Council, and Earth Central Government, she began. Her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was about to reveal. Classification, species survival critical. The response came faster than she had expected. Within 2 hours, every major human leader was connected to a quantum-encrypted conference that spanned dozens of star systems. President Martinez of Earth, Admiral Thompson of Starfleet, Director Kim of the Colonial Council, and representatives from every major human faction listened in stunned silence as Rodriguez delivered her report. "How certain are we that this is genuine?" asked Admiral Thompson, his weathered face grim on the view screen. "Sir, the psychic contact left physical changes in our neural patterns that Dr. Howell has documented. The technology we witnessed is beyond anything in our databases. And the structure itself?" Rodriguez paused, choosing her words carefully. "It's impossible to fake something that massive and sophisticated." President Martinez leaned forward. 1 year. They're giving us 1 year to prove we deserve to survive." "The evaluation has already begun," Rodriguez corrected. "Everything we do from this moment forward is being watched and judged." Director Kim spoke up from the Colonial Representatives section. "What are the specific criteria? What do we need to do?" "Demonstrate wisdom, long-term thinking, and beneficial expansion." "Patterns," Dr. Howell replied. "They're looking for builders, not destroyers. Species that will contribute to galactic civilization rather than consume it." The conference room fell silent as the leaders absorbed the implications. Finally, Admiral Thompson spoke. "Recommendations? First, we need to end the conflicts with the Keth Empire and Reef Confederacy through diplomatic means," Webb said. "Active warfare counts against us. Second, we need to demonstrate responsible use of curator technology. More exploration and terraforming. Less weapons development. Third," Rodriguez added, "we need to show unity. The Watchers seem impressed by our controlled chaos approach to governance, but they'll be watching to see if we can cooperate when it matters most." President Martinez nodded slowly. "I'm calling an emergency session of the United Earth Assembly. We'll need to coordinate with all human factions, even the independents and separatists. This transcends politics." "What about the other species?" Director Kim asked. "Do we warn them? Try to form alliances?" The question hung in the air, representing one of the most crucial decisions humanity would make. Rodriguez thought back to the Watcher's words about how species reacted to existential judgment. "Some already know," she said finally. The Watchers implied that revelation of the testing is itself part of the evaluation. "We need to make choices that reflect the kind of species we want to be." Admiral Thompson's expression hardened. "If we're being judged on our character, then we act according to our values. We warn them, all of them." "Even the Keth? Even the species we're at war with?" Webb asked. "Especially them," Martinez replied. "If we're going to prove we deserve to survive, we prove it by acting like the species we claim to be, one that values life and cooperation over conquest and competition." The conference continued for hours, with plans being made for diplomatic missions, resource reallocation, and a complete restructuring of human expansion priorities. Every decision was weighed against its potential impact on the Watcher's evaluation. As the leaders signed off one by one, Rodriguez remained in contact with Earth. President Martinez looked exhausted but determined. "Captain, you and your crew have just given humanity the greatest gift possible, a chance to prove we deserve our place in the universe. Don't waste it." "We won't, sir. But the real test starts now. Every human in the galaxy is about to find out that their survival depends on choices we haven't made yet." The transmission ended, leaving Rodriguez alone with the magnitude of what they had set in motion. In less than a day, humanity would know that they were on trial for their existence. How they reacted would determine whether there would be a human future at all. The revelation of the harvest spread through human space like wildfire, but not in the way Rodriguez had feared. Instead of panic and chaos, something remarkable happened. Humanity began to unite with a speed and efficiency that surprised even its own leaders. Within 72 hours of the announcement, The Colonial Emergency Assembly had been established, representing every human settlement from the core worlds to the furthest frontier outposts. The perpetual bickering between Earth's government and the outer colonies ceased almost overnight, replaced by a laser focus on species survival. "It's unprecedented," reported Dr. Howell from his position aboard the Vigilance, which had been designated as the primary liaison vessel with the Watchers. "We're seeing cooperation levels that haven't existed since the early days of interstellar colonization. But humanity's response was only part of the story. The decision to warn other species about the harvest had triggered reactions across the galaxy that no one had anticipated. The Keth Empire's response arrived first, a formal cessation of hostilities and a request for immediate diplomatic negotiations. Apparently, the insectoid species had encountered Watcher artifacts before and had been living in fear of exactly this scenario for generations. They want to form a mutual survival pact," Admiral Thompson explained during the daily briefing. "Share resources and knowledge to maximize both species' chances of passing the evaluation." The Aquatic Reef Confederacy had gone even further, offering to provide their advanced bioengineering technology to help humanity develop more sustainable terraforming techniques. Other species began reaching out as well, some seeking alliance, others sharing information about their own encounters with Curator artifacts. Rodriguez watched these developments from the bridge of the Vigilance, maintaining their position near the Watcher structure that continued to pulse with unreadable patterns of light. "Dr. Howell, are you detecting any changes in the Watcher's activities?" "Increased energy output, more complex communication patterns," he reported. "I think they're surprised by the galactic response to the harvest announcement." Webb looked up from his tactical station. "Several more species have revealed they knew about the testing. The Ethereal Collective has been aware for centuries, but never acted on the knowledge. The Machine Syndicate apparently discovered it through deep space archaeology, but assumed it was ancient history." "How many species are we talking about?" Rodriguez asked. "At last count, 47 different intelligent species have acknowledged awareness of the harvest," Park reported from communications. 17 have requested direct diplomatic contact with humanity to discuss cooperative strategies. The scale of the galactic response was staggering. Rather than triggering the warfare and chaos that many had predicted, the revelation of the harvest had catalyzed the largest cooperative effort in recorded galactic history. Species that had been enemies for centuries were suddenly working together to meet the Watcher's criteria. "Captain, incoming priority transmission from the Galactic Council," Park announced. The viewscreen activated to show Ambassador Vale, humanity's representative to the Council, standing in the Great Assembly Chamber. Behind her, delegates from dozens of species filled the amphitheater-like space. "Captain Rodriguez, the Council has voted to establish the Galactic Survival Initiative," Vale reported. "Unprecedented cooperation between species, resource sharing, conflict resolution protocols, all aimed at maximizing our collective chances of surviving the evaluation." "What's the Watcher's reaction to all this?" Rodriguez asked. "Unknown. They've been monitoring our communications but haven't provided any feedback. We're essentially flying blind." Dr. Howell suddenly looked up from his instruments, excitement evident in his voice. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy fluctuations from the Watcher structure. Something's happening." The crystalline formation that had remained relatively stable for days began to shift and change, its internal patterns accelerating until the entire structure seemed to pulse with urgent communication. When the psychic contact came, it was gentler than before, but no less profound. "We are surprised," the Watchers communicated. "In 12 previous harvest cycles, we have never observed this level of interspecies cooperation. Typically, the announcement of evaluation triggers conflict as species attempt to eliminate competition." Rodriguez felt a surge of hope. "Does this change our evaluation?" "The evaluation continues, but the parameters have shifted. We are witnessing behaviors that our models did not predict. This galaxy appears to be developing in unprecedented ways." "What does that mean for the species being tested?" "It means the test itself is evolving. Your collective response has introduced variables we have not encountered before. We must reconsider our assessment criteria." The communication ended, leaving the bridge crew to absorb this new development. For the first time since the crisis began, Rodriguez allowed herself to feel optimistic about humanity's chances. "Park, open a channel to all human settlements," she ordered. "It's time to let everyone know that their cooperation might just have changed the rules of the game." 3 months into the evaluation period, the galaxy had transformed in ways no one could have predicted. The Galactic Survival Initiative had evolved from a desperate alliance into something approaching a true galactic civilization, with species sharing technology, resources, and knowledge at unprecedented levels. Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the Vigilance, watching as ships from dozens of different species worked together to construct something that would have been impossible just months earlier. A joint research station dedicated to understanding curator technology and developing sustainable expansion methods. "Status report on the cooperative projects," she requested as Dr. Howell joined her at the viewport. "Remarkable progress across all fronts," he replied, consulting his datapad. "The Keith have shared their terraforming efficiency algorithms, increasing our planet development success rate by 300%. The Reef Confederacy's bioengineering has allowed us to create self-sustaining ecosystems that require minimal intervention, and the Machine Syndicate's computational models have revolutionized our resource distribution networks." Through the transparent aluminum, they could see representatives from over 30 species working side by side, their different physiologies and technologies creating a symphony of cooperation that defied everything galactic history had taught them about interspecies relations. "Any word from the Watchers?" Rodriguez asked. "Daily monitoring, but no direct communication since their surprise at our collective response. However, energy readings from their structure have been steadily increasing. They're definitely paying attention." The comm system activated with an incoming priority transmission from Earth. President Martinez appeared on the screen, looking more energetic than Rodriguez had seen her in years. "Captain, I wanted to personally update you on developments across human space," Martinez began. "The unity of purpose we've achieved is extraordinary. Crime rates have dropped to historic lows, scientific collaboration has increased by 500%, and our diplomatic relations with other species are stronger than ever." "Any negative reactions to the situation?" Rodriguez asked. "Surprisingly few. There are always those who believe conflict is inevitable, but they're vastly outnumbered by citizens who see this as humanity's greatest opportunity. We're not just trying to survive the evaluation, we're trying to prove we deserve to be part of something larger." The transmission continued with reports from across human space. Colonies that had been struggling were now thriving thanks to interspecies cooperation. Scientific breakthroughs were happening weekly, and humanity's expansion rate had actually increased while becoming more sustainable. "Captain," Webb called from the bridge, "we're receiving a transmission from the Watcher structure. They're requesting direct communication with representatives from all participating species." Rodriguez felt her pulse quicken. "Patch me through to the Galactic Council. If the Watchers want to talk to everyone, we'll make sure everyone can hear." Within an hour, the most diverse communication network in galactic history was established. Representatives from 47 different species, speaking dozens of languages and communicating through methods ranging from sound waves to quantum entanglement, all connected to hear what the Watchers had to say. When the psychic contact began, it touched every mind simultaneously, creating a shared experience that transcended species boundaries. "We have observed. We have evaluated. We have been educated," the Watchers communicated. The mental contact carried images of the galaxy as the Watchers saw it, not as competing species fighting for resources, but as a complex ecosystem where different forms of intelligence complemented and strengthened each other. In 12 previous harvest cycles spanning 4 billion years, we have never witnessed cooperation of this magnitude. Your response to existential evaluation has demonstrated something we believed impossible: the emergence of true galactic consciousness. The communication paused, and Rodriguez felt every connected mind holding its breath. "The harvest, as you understand it, is cancelled." The psychic equivalent of cheering erupted across the network as dozens of species celebrated simultaneously, but the Watchers weren't finished. "However, this does not mean evaluation ends. You have proven capable of transcending individual species' interests when faced with ultimate consequences. The question now becomes, can you maintain this cooperation when the threat is removed?" "What are you proposing?" asked Ambassador Vale, speaking for the collective. "A new paradigm. Rather than periodic culling, we offer guidance and partnership. You have shown readiness for the next phase of galactic evolution. True interspecies civilization. We will help you achieve it, but the choice and the effort must remain yours. Rodriguez felt tears streaming down her face as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just survived the evaluation. They had helped transform it into something unprecedented. The young species have taught the old ones, the Watchers concluded. This is a gift we did not expect to receive. In return, we offer knowledge, technology, and guidance for the civilization you are building together. As the communication ended and the network of species began discussing this new future, Rodriguez realized that humanity's greatest victory wasn't avoiding extinction. It was proving that cooperation and unity were not just survival strategies, but the foundation of something magnificent. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what it needed.